I think photography's been considered an art. Photography can be something very creative, very artistic, something that can be as impactful as a painting or a sculpture. So I think photography is a very powerful medium, and I think it'll continue to, it's a very recent art form compared to painting or sculpture or music or literature. So I think yeah, it's gaining more and more respect as the years go by. Photographs can be very powerful. I think they can help change public opinion. I think back on the Vietnam War and how certain pictures really helped to change people's view of the war and started to turn against that war based on some photographs. Occasionally, a picture will become iconic because it gets into the public consciousness and people can't get it out of their minds. And that photograph becomes, it sort of stands for an era, or a portrait of somebody sort of becomes something we can't ever forget. I think of maybe the most famous photograph is of Che Guevara, that really powerful portrait of this sort of young revolutionary, a beard and a beret, very handsome. And it's a picture which you see all over the world, and it's become maybe the most recognized photograph ever. The way I approach people with my camera is pretty much the same way I approach people on the street. I think you have to be relaxed. You have to have a sense of confidence. I think you have to have maybe a sense of humor. You want people to be interested and enjoy spending time with you. I think it's just trying to be personable and make people want to take a minute or two of their time and be photographed. Somehow they need to feel special, relaxed, and they need to have trust that you're going to do something good and not put them in a bad way. Or yeah, I would say most of the time when I'm photographing, I'm working with people who do not speak my language and I don't speak their language. So you have to, a lot of nonverbal communication. I think smiling, being friendly is a good first step. I think people have to trust you, they have to like you, they have to believe that what you're doing is good and honest. So yeah, I think that's the way you start out. I've come across racism all over the world, whether it's in Europe or the US or Asia. I think we as a race have that problem, and we tend to look at other kinds of people and other people who are different from ourselves, and we're often we're not accepting, and we don't it's a real problem. And I think that's a real challenge for the world as a whole, to accept other people, accept other religion, sexual orientation, race. It's something which we have to learn to get together and respect each other. Well, I think the worst experience I ever had as a photographer was being in a plane crash in Slovenia, a small country in Europe. We were flying over a lake, and the pilot made a mistake, and we crashed into this lake, and I found myself underwater, strapped in with my seatbelt, and I thought I was definitely going to die. I thought, this is the end of me. And some miraculous way I was able to get out from that plane. And it was cold, it was murky, I was disoriented, I was upside down, I couldn't breathe. It was unbelievable. It's like a miracle I was able to get out. The last thoughts in my mind, there was no thoughts. I was I was all on automatic pilot. I was just thinking, I wasn't thinking, I was just reacting. So it was very tense, very scary, very kind of one of those life flashes before your eyes kind of a moment. I love that quote by Howard Hughes. If you were stuck on an island with somebody, who would you want to be stuck with? And he said the world's greatest shipbuilder. So I think that's who I would want to be marooned on a desert island, maybe the world's greatest shipbuilder. I think the three most important things that I travel with is my passport, my camera, and money. If you have those three things, you can go anywhere, and you can always, that's the essential. If I had to say a fourth thing, I'd say a good book, but I think that's the bare minimum. Right now, I'm reading a biography about a British explorer, 19th century British explorer, named Sir Richard Francis Burton. He was an extraordinary kind of adventurer. He spoke almost 30 languages, traveled all over Asia, Africa, the US, even South America, and was really quite a Renaissance man. He was a geographer and a sort of an amateur botanist and kind of an anthropologist. So he was an incredible explorer and humanitarian. If I was going to resurrect somebody and have dinner with some historical figure, I think you'd want to talk to the people who had the most influence on the planet. Jesus Christ comes to mind, Buddha, Muhammad, Confucius. I think these would be the people I would want to talk to and see what they have to say for themselves. I think that would be utterly fascinating. My advice to a young photographer is you can only accomplish things if you practice, work, have a certain discipline. Also, you need to know the craft of photography, and it's important to know the history of photography. You have to know what's gone on before you arrived on the scene. It's almost like if you are interested in music, it stands to reason you'd want to listen to music. And if you want to be a writer, you'd want to read. Same thing with photography. You want to be a photographer, look at pictures and photograph. Actually very simple. The way the world is today with the internet and, I think that people are borrowing and stealing and altering. I think that's just a reality. I think we just have to kind of live with it, deal with it. This is going to just continue, and I personally don't see it as a threat to me. I mean, if somebody wants to take one of my pictures, and you can't stop it. There's no way to police it or control it. So you just have to kind of roll with it and not worry. I mean, you can photograph out of a book, you can take pictures off the internet, right out of this exhibition. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think you just have to, this is the world we live in, and I think there's a limited amount of what we can do. My idea of happiness is walking down the street in a city like Havana, Cuba, with my camera on a beautiful day and just enjoying meeting people and walking down the street and seeing life unfold before my eyes. That's my idea of happiness. What I'd like to leave behind as my legacy, I think, are some of the pictures on the wall in this exhibition. I think it's looking at the world and appreciating the beauty or the wonder of this planet and the people who were living here at this point in time. The world's an amazing place, and I think we're so lucky to be here and to be able to enjoy this planet for a brief amount of time that we're here.